Your natural hair is good for church programs. Your natural hair is good for when you want to pick your kids at school.
Oh, wow.
Don't bring your natural hair to my event. Going to the beach now, I can wear my natural hair. It's good for the beach. If I'm going to church, it's okay. Do you get what I'm saying? If I'm going to pick maybe going to play with my niece, it's cool. If I'm in my house, it's okay. But why would I want to wear a nice ass dress, expensive dress, expensive heels? At least I'll do ponytail. At least.
You would think, or you would like to think, that the one place in the world where you could go and take your 4C hair out in all of its full glory would be, you know, the continent of Africa, because most of the people there, most of the women there look like me. That is where we originate. That is where this hair originates from. Like, that is the motherland. That is the one place that should be not only a safe place for us, but a land where people encourage and love and praise the hair that actually grows out of our head naturally. Being someone who, you know, has been living in America since I was 3 and being raised in an all-white town where I didn't really see my exact type of hair put on full display commonly because there were like 2 or 3 black kids in my school, I would sometimes wonder what life would have been like if we were born and raised in Ghana, where my family is from. If I grew up there, where all of my peers had my type of hair texture, would I not have had such, you know, inner turmoil and conflict when it comes to how I looked at my hair growing up? And then clips like this remind me it probably would have been a lot of the exact same stuff, because the effects of colonialism, of slavery, of everything that came from that entire situation are not just evident in America and in other countries. The effects of that are still visible throughout the entire world, including Africa. It's so sad to me that in 2023, we still have to have this conversation. Like, we still need to intellectually break down to you why it's simply okay for us to be able to wear our hair in its natural form to any event, not just to the grocery store or to pick up your kids from school, but yes, also to a nice black tie event. Not even like I'm trying to say, hey, black hair is the best hair in the world, and you gotta say black hair is the best hair in the world, and it's better than every other hair type. We're not even trying to go that far. We're not even trying to take it there. All we're trying to say is that it is just okay for me to bring my natural hair to your event. Why? Because every other group of people get to do that. We are the only group of people where our own kind. It would be one thing if that was a white woman on camera saying, I don't like your natural hair, don't bring your natural hair to my event. I'd be like, okay, racism, but nothing new. I get it, cool. It's our own kind. It's our own community. These are African women. What other racial group does or says that? Imagine if Asian and white women were constantly perming their hair to look like 4C hair. And even though they would constantly perm their hair, it never looked quite right? It never looked exactly like our type of 4C hair. But in spite of that, they would still continue to perm it over and over and over again, and even do that to their children. And if they didn't have a perm, then they would put on a 4C hair wig. And when it came time to get dressed up for a nice event, they would say things like, what? Me? Wear my natural straight Asian hair, my natural straight European hair with an expensive, nice dress? I'm gonna wear my 4C hair wig. Wouldn't that be a little odd? Like, wouldn't that be a little strange to the rest of us? Like, why can't we hear how crazy then that sounds when it's applied to our own community? It's because it's so normalized, right? The weaves, the wigs, it's so normalized. And so many of us struggle with this type of self-hatred that when we see the wig or the weave walking on the street, we're like, you look good. That looks presentable. That looks elegant. And I think a large part of it is due to the lack of representation that we have with our hair. You know, if it wasn't for breakage, I would honestly wear my hair out every single day if I could. Every single day I would wear it out because I really do like the way that my hair looks. I think I look the best with my natural hair. I feel the best with my natural hair. If more people did that, and if more Black women like the ones on this podcast were to actually see our hair in many different instances, then it wouldn't be so crazy. So when I initially came across that clip, I had the same type of disgusted response and feelings that I think most women with natural hair had. You know, that response of like, girl, what's wrong with you? Like, why do you think like that? Like, fix your mind. But then the Holy Spirit took a hold and was reminded of that biblical message of, if you've never sinned, then go ahead and be the first one to throw the stone. And I felt condemnation for judging her because I remember there being a point in my life and in my journey for a large part of my early years where I felt the exact same way that she did. Yeah, maybe I didn't go on a platform, right? A public social media platform and broadcast my self-hatred to the world. But I remember at one point in my life saying, and please don't judge me for what I'm about to share with you, okay? Whenever I think about this, I'm like, I cannot believe I was that crazy and messed up in my mind. I remember actually saying to my mom, if I were to ever die before you, please bury me in a nice lace wig. Don't let me go into that casket with my natural hair. Make sure that you put me in a nice lace wig. Those words actually came out of my mouth. That at that point in life, I was not showing my natural hair to anybody but me. Like even dead, the thought of me having to show my natural hair to the world was like unacceptable. It wasn't until I switched my mindset that I could reflect back on how I used to think and really be like, wow, you used to think that way. We're all at different points in our hair journey. See, when you have natural hair, especially the kinkiest 4C type of natural hair, you have two choices in this world. You either get with the program and fix your hair to assimilate into whatever hairstyle the world deems as acceptable at that point in time, so that you can go through life on an easier trajectory and have an easier time with people accepting you, or you take the road less traveled. You decide to embrace your hair. You seek out different resources and learning materials that are not as abundant, and you ignore the comments that people make about your hair, about it looking nappy, about it looking dirty, about it looking messy, about it not looking good enough. And you rely on the inner validation that you get from God, yourself, and the few people around you that actually do support and love your hair. Those are your two options. It's easy to judge her and where she's at in her hair journey and call her all kinds of names that I was seeing in the comment section of her being, you know, this and that and a self-hating you know what. It's easy to go there. But think about in your life, have you ever felt some of those thoughts? Maybe you didn't broadcast it publicly, but if you ever felt shame or embarrassment or lack of desire for wanting to wear and show your natural hair, not because you were trying to do protective styling, but because you genuinely didn't feel like your hair was good enough and it would look better if it were straighter, smoother, silkier, or whatnot, then you also have felt the way that she has felt. Now, I understand that that doesn't apply to everybody, right? Some of you guys just came out the womb like, I'm here, I'm Black, I'm proud, I know my hair is amazing and you can't tell me any different. And to those of you, you're amazing and you're better than the rest of us, okay? You get the trophy for Best Black Person of the Year award. But I know for myself and for a lot of other Black women who I've had this conversation with, that's not the case for a lot of people, right? And so if we know that's not the case for everybody, and we know that at one point in our life we have felt the way that she has felt, then I think it's important to, of course, still correct that type of thinking, because to me, that's not even just an opinion, that's just flat out wrong. But I think it's important to correct our brothers and sisters in a more compassionate, loving, forgiving, grace-filled, Christian kind of way, you know? The way that some of the people were coming at her in those comments were just kind of nasty, kind of aggressive. And when we come at people like that, it just shuts the other person down, right? It just causes them to be extremely defensive. And I don't know if that's true, right? I don't know this woman. I don't know if she's even reading the comments or if she even cares. But in general, in life, when we're trying to correct somebody, if we do it very aggressively, it makes it harder for our message to be received. Because here's the thing, she's not the only one who feels that way. But the other women who actually agree with that thinking and agree with what she's saying, they're gonna be like, you know what? I think the exact same thing that she does, but I see how people are coming for her in those comments, so I'm not gonna talk about those things. I'm not gonna be open and vulnerable about how I really feel about my hair because I'm not trying to get that type of hate given back to me. So I'm just gonna continue to think my self-hateful thoughts in silence inside of my head, as opposed to creating a safe environment for people where we can all come together and have the conversation. I'm still gonna check you, of course, but I'm not gonna call you out your name. I'm gonna talk about how I've been there. I'm gonna talk about how I get it. I'm gonna talk about my own experiences and explain why I think it's so harmful for you to get on a podcast and literally encourage Black women to hate themselves and to make us feel even more unaccepted in our own community. She's not the villain of the story. She's a product of an international culture, a global mindset that our type of hair is simply unacceptable, right? It's just not professional. It's not elegant. It's not all these different things. And if you're looking to have a professional look and look elegant, you have to go and assimilate to a straighter hair texture. And I know you guys have heard me get on my soapbox and talk about this before. How many times can I come on YouTube like, we gotta love our hair, guys. We gotta love our hair. I know, you've heard this message before. And every time I'm like, they don't need to hear it again. They get it. We get it. We don't have to beat a dead horse. We get it. We gotta love the hair. We got it. But then I come across a clip like that. And I'm like, actually, we don't got it. I am gonna keep getting on my soapbox with my preacher hat. Even though things are changing and times are changing, I do think that every day there is more and more acceptance for our type of hair. I don't think that it is the majority, right? And so until the day I die, God willing, please let that be a long time, I'm going to continue to preach this message because we never know when somebody needs it. And if even just one person hears this message on a day that they're having a really hard day with their natural hair and it makes them feel a bit more encouraged and strengthened in the idea of, you know, maybe I can wear my natural hair regardless of how it looks, regardless of what length it's at, regardless of any of these things, maybe I can wear my natural hair proudly. If even one person gets that message and then goes and acts upon it, then me continuing to preach this message over and over and over again is worth it. So to those of you out there with your natural hair who are audacious and bold and crazy enough to go out there and wear your hair to events in spite of the potential backlash and side eyes that the other people may give you, I salute you. I'm proud of you. I thank you. I commend you. Because I know that this natural hair journey is not easy, and some days are harder than others, and some people are stronger than others, and it takes some people just a bit more time to catch up, and that's okay, right? All we got to do is continue to love on them, continue to spread the good word, and things will continue to change. I'd love to hear from you guys what you thought about the podcast. If you've ever shared those kinds of thoughts at all in your hair care journey, what made you finally realize it was time to change it if you did? And until next time, take care of yourself.